Weir and Dilbert. The lead writer August 28, 2017. Credit WWE.com. For better or worse, Monday's WWE Raw surprised the audience. Alexa Bliss snatched away the Raw Women's Championship from Sasha Banks, continuing the Boss history of failing in title defenses. And as John Cena and Roman Reigns verbally sliced each other open, they referred to heel turns and promos, charging through the fourth wall. Those were far from the only unexpected moments of the night. Jeff Hardy earned an Intercontinental Championship match. Emma actually won a bout. A wrestler from Southpaw Regional Wrestling Talent showed up in Memphis. Not all of it worked. Emma's narrative, for example, is one-dimensional at the moment. But Raw didn't settle for the status quo. It moved stories along and threw some curveballs along the way. Throughout the night, WWE delivered moments fans didn't see coming. That doesn't always happen on a show that so often relies on repeating patterns ad nauseum. Read on for a full breakdown of Monday's Raw, complete with letter grades and highlights. To get the latest on the WWE, all in one place, download the new BR app. The Miz couldn't even get a sentence out before Raw General Manager Kurt Angle interrupted him. The Intercontinental Champ blasted Angle for not respecting him and his title. The GM told him the winner of the Battle Royal would face him for the championship next week. Finn Balor, the Hardy Boys and Big Show were among those who entered the fray. The field all ganged up on Kurt Hawkins to oust his first. It then ganged up on Big Show. The Hardy Boys clashed with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. The Miztourage worked together to impact the bout. The Miz knocked out some of his minions with some cheap shots. Balor, one of the final men remaining toward the end, went on a tear before Bray Wyatt appeared and tossed him out. Jason Jordan looked to be closing in on a win, but Jeff Hardy outlasted him, eliminating Jordan and getting the win. Result: Jeff Hardy wins to earn an Intercontinental Championship match. Memorable moments and quotes. Big Show sports a new clean-shaven look. Big Show just chopped Kalisto in the soul. Corey Graves. Balor worked with his former stablemates Anderson and Gallows to eliminate Big Show. Matt Hardy slams Anderson into the ring post from the apron. Jordan tosses out both Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas. Great analysis. An average battle royal in terms of action did well to advance a handful of feuds. The rivalry between the Hardy Boys and Anderson and Gallows intensified here. Wyatt's sneak attack moved his story with Balor along, giving the babyface major motivation moving forward. Jeff Hardy's win was a welcome surprise, setting up quite the intriguing showdown with The Miz. The match layout did little to showcase Jordan until the end. That was a missed opportunity to elevate a rising star. Before the match, Amore talked about facing Big Cass last week, and joining the Cruiserweight division. Noam Dar out-wrestled him early on. The Scottish Supernova grounded him and pulled on his hair. Amore battled back and overcame his foe. Result: Amore wins via pinfall. Memorable moments and quotes. Amore served as the ring announcer, introducing Dar. Dar knocks Amore to the ground with a right hand. Dar mocks Amore's signature dance. Amore hits Eat Defeat as his finisher. Gradic analysis. This especially silly version of Amore isn't going to work. He came off as a fool, not a guy being funny. And HES at his best when focused and angry with a dose of comedy to break things up. The reaction for him was muted here, both in the ring and on the mic. His match with Dar was underwhelming. Fans will have to get used to that. Amore simply doesn't have the in-ring acumen to hang with the cruiserweights. Lesnar's advocate Paul Heyman talked up Strowman, calling him the most worthy contender for the Universal Championship. He recalled Strowman's performance at SummerSlam. In the midst of Heyman ranting about Strowman, Lesnar grabbed the mic for himself to issue a simple message to his no mercy foe. Memorable moments and quotes. I don't believe in monsters, but I believe Strowman is one. Heyman. Brock Lesnar ducks no man. Brock Lesnar ducks no monster. Suplex City, bitch, Lesnar. Great analysis. Heyman's in-ring sermons are always entertaining, and he delivered again here. He did well to play up Strowman's strengths and portray him as a monster. The narrative for this bout looks to be simple for now. Two dangerous titans hungry to hurt each other. That's a good route to take with these two. WWE need not overthink this slobber knocker. Lesnar adding his 2 cents was a nice touch, changing up the usual routine. Rollins and Cesaro kicked off their bout with fast-paced action. The Kingslayer maintained control early on. Sheamus tried to sneak in some cheap shots, but Ambrose chased him away. Cesaro overpowered his opponent to gain the advantage. A charged-up Rollins went after Cesaro while Sheamus and Ambrose brawled at ringside. That distraction was enough to allow Cesaro to roll up Rollins for a 3 count. Result: Cesaro wins via pinfall. Memorable moments and quotas: Rollins hits a standing moonsault. Cesaro nails Rollins, a trio of short-arm clotheslines. Great analysis: a long, backhand fifth match pulled out the tired distraction finish trope. The ending only gave Cesaro minimal momentum. Rollins and Cesaro have made all of their clashes click. This was another quality contest. But if the feud between these teams is going to roll on, there needs to be something bigger to keep the story interesting. Now that Ambrose and Rollins are reunited and all the teasing of such is over, WWE has to find creative ways to keep the duo hot. Credit WWE.com. Sheamus challenged Ambrose to a match after Rollins and Cesaro collided. The two men brawled in and out of the ring as Rollins stood guard to keep Cesaro at bay. The Celtic Warrior stayed on top of Ambrose, trying to wear him out with submission holds. Ambrose fought through a hurt back and went on a flurry. He took several big shots from Sheamus before Rollins gave him an assist. The Kingslayer needs Sheamus behind the referee's back to pave the way for an Ambrose win. Result: Ambrose wins via pinfall. Memorable moments and quotes: Sheamus clamps on a Strike muffler hold. Sheamus hits a rolling senton from the second rope. Rollins yanks Cesaro off the apron. Great analysis: Rollins vs. Cesaro had the better athleticism, but this bout had the better in-ring story. Sheamus worked on Ambrose's back, creating a weak point in his foe. Ambrose needed his buddy to step in to balance things out as a result. Rollins pulling a bit of a heel move was intriguing, sign that helps no straight-laced babyface. Cesaro and Sheamus will produce a high-quality match against the Shams at No Mercy if that's where this feud is heading. WWE doesn't have a ton of other options to send after Rollins and Ambrose. At least until the revival is back. Backstage, Emma bragged about trending on Twitter last week. Mickie James said if she beat Emma, the Aussie could no longer claim to have started the women's revolution. Emma and James slugged it out briefly. The heel pinned James in a hurry. Result: Emma wins via pinfall. Memorable moments and quotes: Shouldn't you be proud when you actually do something, James? I started the women's revolution. It was me, Emma. Great analysis: adding stakes to matches is generally a good idea. These stakes felt forced though. Emma earned the right to keep claiming she started the women's revolution. A short, sloppy match was far from her best performance. Emma now marches forward with a bit more spotlight on her and she has an angle to work with. It will have to be fleshed out a bunch more, however. Her repeating her women's revolution claim over and over isn't nearly enough. Credit WWE.com. Angle welcomed both Cena to the ring. Cena claimed Reigns has been protected to this point in his career. After emerging, Reigns fired back at him. The two traded verbal shots, Cena saying Reigns isn't ready to replace him and the big dog disrespecting his No Mercy opponent. Cena worked up the crowd as he dismissed Reigns' greatness. Reigns pushed aside the table, prepping for a fight. Gallows and Anderson arrived just in time to prevent that from happening. Instead, Angle booked a match with the club facing Cena and Reigns. Memorable moments and quotes: This is the reason I came to Raw, Cena. You're not as big of a deal as you think you are, Reigns. Cena calls Reigns a cheap-ass, corporately created John Cena bootleg. You're just a fake bitch, Reigns. I'm still here because you can't do your job, Cena. Great analysis: This version of Reigns is simply great. When he is efficient with his words and overflowing with attitude, his must-watch. He and Cena tore each other up in a hugely tense segment. They broke the fourth wall perhaps a bit too often to amp up their animosity in a hurry. This story is shaping up to be as Reigns' attempt to be Cena's successor, which feeds on what's happening in reality. Gallows and Anderson weren't needed. They only provided a clumsy segue into a tag match. Credit WWE.com. Gallows and Anderson ran over Cena to kick things off. Reigns urged him to tag out, but Cena struggled against the heels. Reigns fared better, blasting Gallows and Anderson with clotheslines. Eventually, Cena and Reigns worked together just long enough to take down the club. Result: Cena and Reigns win via pinfall. Memorable moments and quotes: She's pretty tough, isn't he? A sarcastic Reigns about Cena. Cena hits an attitude adjustment on Gallows while Reigns lays out Anderson with a spear. Great analysis: This turned into a game of one-upmanship and a means to show off Cena and Reigns' power. WWE could have accomplished both in a quick brawl after their promo rather than roll out the enemy's estimates angle again. The action wasn't anything special, Reigns being indignant while waiting to get tagged was the highlight. More of that would have made this more entertaining. Credit WWE.com for breaking into song. Elias said that the late Dusty Rhodes called him the Elvis of WWE. He trashed Memphis in verse until announcer Jerry Lawler stopped to him to welcome pelvis Wesley Heath Slater. Wesley danced in the ring until Elias clobbered him. Memorable moments and quotas. The king is gone, but not forgotten. Doesn't change the fact that you're rotten, Elias. Pelvis told me he was hip. Now he needs a hip replacement. Lawler. Great analysis for infusing a character from the fictional Southpaw regional wrestling promotion was such a fun, unexpected move. Elias not only got to beat up an innocent man to look more dastardly, he clobbered an Elvis-like figure in the city where the king is revered. The beating could have been longer and more vicious, but WWE did well to spotlight Elias with limited airtime. Credit WWE.com. Bliss pounced on Banks early, going after a number of pinfall attempts. The boss slowed the bout down, keeping Bliss grounded. It wasn't until the action moved outside of the ring that Bliss took over. The challenger then dominated for a stretch. Bliss focused on Banks' torso. She was able to withstand the boss comeback and hit a snap DDT for the win. Nia Jax came out to congratulate the champ, but turned on her, smashing her into the canvas. Result: Bliss wins via pinfall to become the Raw Women's Champ. Memorable moments and quotas. Me strategy is to win. Period. Bliss. Banks dives off the ring apron to nail Bliss with double knees. Bliss clocks Banks with a blistering right hand. Bliss shakes the ring with a superplex. Great analysis. Bliss came through in a big spot and put on her best match to date. She and Banks clicked again. Folks will be talking more about the title change, though. Banks' reigns have ended early each time out. And WWE can't seem to stop playing hot potato with the Raw Women's title. Jax's presence makes this story more interesting moving forward. Her backstabbing would have been more powerful had her alliance with Bliss been spotlighted more. And on a welcome side note, you know the women's revolution has reached a key point when two women are headline Raw and WWE doesn't have to play up how historic it is, focusing on the actual matchup instead.